Hi, my name is Nathaniel, and I graduated from Animation Mentor. I graduated back in 2009, and since then, yeah, I've just been doing animation mainly for movies, and what we're doing right now is focusing on animating hand gestures for dialogue scenes. And this one I think I can definitely relate to because I do that quite often whenever I'm saying something, and so figure if I do, why not transfer that to the animated characters? So, but here's a little bit about me. Mainly 3D animator, visualization artist, and this is some of the things I've worked on over the years. And for anyone who's seen my other tutorials, I always mention my favorite, and that would have to be Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And another one that I'm very anxious to see how it turns out is Superman, and that comes out on the 11th, and today is the 2nd, so pretty soon. And also Lilo and Stitch. I'm happy that that was such a success because it definitely went through a lot of changes when I was working on it, so you never really know. So what we are doing right now is focusing on, like I said, the hand gestures. And I chose, there's me. I look all... I have no idea why I look so determined right there, but it's a nice, innocent, comical shot, rest assured. So, there is one clip that I selected from the 11-second club, and you'll definitely see I didn't use the whole entire clip, but I used the part that I thought had the most gestures for the hands, and so usually I would just let you listen to the actual audio, but that'll come later. But for right now, the audio recorded in this video did not sound very good, and after listening to it so many times, I'm pretty sure I've memorized it, so I'll just do the voice for right now. But I'll show you what I'm doing during my acting reference. So, this afternoon I will have the singing tuna fish casserole, no pickle on the plate, well done Frenchy fries on their own plate. And there it is. So you'll notice I'm doing all kinds of very, well, I mean, really, I'll admit the gestures that I'm doing are not really as alive as they could have been, I don't think, especially when it comes to the hands. Because you'll notice how some parts, like right around here, towards the end, my hands are almost completely flat, and that would be a term I actually learned during my time at AM. One of my mentors referred to that as spatula hands. And that's, I mean, as you can see, that's pretty much when the hands are doing hardly anything and not really are very, very interesting. So that is definitely one of the things I'll cover for today. Definitely, like I said, how to position your hands, and also cover a few do's and don'ts. I think I've already covered one or two already, so off to a good start. And so that's me acting it out. And also, that's one really nice thing about the QuickTime format, because it's so easy to scroll through frame by frame. It's also, I definitely recommend selecting frame number over here as opposed to the time, so but you're able to really look at what you're doing. And one of the things we'll definitely cover in this lesson is that what you do during your video reference is not necessarily etched in stone. So right now I'm going to open the first Maya file right here, and here it is. And now you can actually hear the official sound without me just voicing it, so here it is.
This afternoon I will have the singing tuna fish casserole, no pickle on the plate, well done Frenchy fries on their own plate.
Okay. And you'll notice this is extremely rough. I mean, right now I'm just focusing mainly on what I'm doing as far as my full body poses and everything, but not so much on the hands. Maybe a little bit here and there, a few points, a few other little small things, but this is mainly what we're going to be doing, what we're focusing on. And one of them that I did in my video reference is this one right here. I could even pull it back up just so I can, I mean, shoot, here it is right here. But it goes like this: no pickle on the plate, like that, and nothing really changes. My hand stays, it's not completely flat, but it's also not really doing a whole lot. So I figure if I ramp that up, it'll make it a lot more entertaining, and also get you to know a little bit more about the actual character because the hand gestures, they do, I mean, they do serve as a very, very beneficial secondary action. So the more the hands are doing, the more you know about the character, and the more anticipation there is, and the more it actually also helps the storytelling. And how could I have gone this long without my additional frames? So, rather not find out the hard way by how red my eyes are later on today. So I think what I'm going to do with this is change it just a little bit. And one thing I usually do with these controls is make sure that only this one is active, so that I can a lot easier for me to focus on what I'm actually working on, so I don't accidentally select something that I'm not working on. And also window, animation editors, graph editor. Here we are. Since I'm only working on one monitor, this is how I usually like to frame it right here. So I have the work view here, the camera view here, and the graph editor view right about here. And one thing I think I'm going to do is actually extend out this hand a little bit more, so it can just look more, so it just looks more interesting. Now let's see. Yep. So it starts here. I think I'll just keep it right the same spot, but then by the time it hits this point, okay, so from here until about here, I think that's where I'll have it stretched out. Right about there, and this is very rough for right now. Later on we'll fast forward to a version of this that's a bit more polished, but for right now I'm just sort of giving you an idea of what I'm doing. Make sure everything's in frame too, because that was one small little challenge, having a menu in the foreground, and that's, I mean, that FYI, that's what that is. It just hasn't been textured yet. No pickle on the plate. It comes back down. And so I think also when I have his hand up here, instead of doing that, I think I'll have him pointing, as in sort of pointing at the waiter like, okay, remember, no pickle on the plate, like that. And when he says on the plate, I sort of have, like I said, before he says plate, it's like this, and then after he says plate, it's like this. So I think the before will be this, and the after will be kind of this. The rest of the finger is sort of halfway up. So I think that'll look a bit more interesting. And something else I want to definitely focus on is the angle of the wrist. Make sure it's moving a little bit more, because it's something else that I was lacking in my video reference, because there's just a lot of me. I don't know if it makes video reference like that makes me curious as to how I talk whenever I'm not being filmed. Do I always move my hands around like that, or do I always hardly do anything with my fingers or with my wrists? I mean, that's one thing I guess I'll discover through the natural course of life. But of course, this isn't about me. It's about this guy right here. So back on track. So, and then what I'm going to do is select these two right here. And some curling keys have already been applied. So let's see here. Okay, this one. And then, oh, here we go. And then all of these. Oh, excuse me, wrong finger. Oop. Where's, oh wait, I selected, I got the wrong two selected, my bad. Oh well. There we go. So, we'll pick along the plate, and then when he says plate, now he's flashing a peace sign, but of course, what we have in mind is to have have both fingers sort of come up a little bit more, like right about here, and then with the middle one, have that come out right about here. I'll show you. Maybe right about there. No pickle on the plate. So that's pretty much the idea, but One problem I have right now is this figure, maybe from this angle it might look okay, but from the camera angle, unfortunately, the pinky is not tucked in quite enough, I don't think. So, but that's thankfully a very easy fix. You just do... Oop. Well, no, you don't do that, but hold on. And actually, one thing I've also discovered is you don't always need to move every single digit. Maybe just the top one will be enough, and I think the top one will be enough for this one. Maybe I'll move the second one, then we go the third one just a little bit. Here we go. Looks better. So that adds a little bit onto that, and you'll probably also notice how when the hand goes back down, instead of all fingers falling at the same time, they sort of go like this, which also makes things look a bit more interesting. So, and also another don't that I've warned about so far are the spatula hands, which of course I'm completely guilty of, but you know, that's the miracle of animation. You can take the spatula hands that you were acting and completely remove all evidence through the animation, so it goes well. Another thing you want to avoid, yikes, is twinning, and that's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's basically both hands doing the exact same thing. And like that can be pretty tricky because sometimes it goes with other parts of the body, like maybe obviously the legs, the shoulders, whatever. Like if you don't want the exact same thing on both sides, and sometimes you might have a character, like especially in shots like this, where you have him pointing a whole bunch of times, and during my reference, I find myself actually pointing with both fingers, so I might even take this one and have it not pointing at all. It just is sort of like maybe halfway to a fist, kind of slouching down or something, and just save the pointing for this one right here, which makes a lot more sense. So, another example of that would be right here, where this hand, yeah, notice the hands are not really doing anything hardly at all right now. They're just basically in their main sort of pose. So one thing you can do is select all of these and like save it for a point where the wrist comes up. So until right now, set a key right there. And then as the wrist is coming up, you can have the hands go into sort of like a fist a little bit. A little bit of a fist. And also you can select both these fingers right here, like the curl one, and have it tuck in just a little bit more, and then do the same thing with the pinky like we were doing earlier. Have that tuck in. Well, first of all, select this one, then have it tuck in just a little bit more to give it some variety. And then when it's up here, obviously you want to extend them once again. That actually looks okay right there. That looks okay, and definitely one thing you don't want to neglect is the thumb. The thumb is a finger too. Well, even though it's not, but it's still part of the hand. And that one also, yeah, that one can also be tucked in a little bit, like down here, while it's still sort of halfway into a fist, and then... And one thing you can also do is spread out the fingers a little bit. You can have the ending pose right here, and actually if you want to, probably the easiest way to stretch is to hit spread right here. But at the same time, you also want the fingers to be as far apart from each other as they were before, so it's good to set a key right here to send sort of a bookmark. But then by the time it's down here, then they spread out, like say maybe about like that. I think that looks a little bit better. And then on the way down, you also want a little bit of secondary motion, the hands sort of stretching a little bit. By the time they get all the way down, I think that looks okay right about here. So once again, set a key. So between here and here is when they stretch out a bit. And to add a little bit more to that, you might also select some of them individually and do some more, a little bit more fine-tuning. Like that. And you might even spread it out a little bit by itself, just to add some more variety. And maybe same thing with our middle right here. There we go, a little bit more variety. So now when it moves down, at least with this pose right here, it does so a little bit more naturally. But then he does it again. So that's an example of that. And also another example would be right about here. Now see, this pose right here I did only because that's what I'm doing in the video reference. It's right earlier at the beginning right here. See, right about that. So that's usually my initial reaction, like just step one, copy whatever I'm doing, but of course that is only step one, because like I was saying before, whatever you act out is not etched in stone. So, and quite often, I might even look up like Disney shots that friends of mine have worked on, and you see on one hand how it finishes, and on the other hand what it looked like when they were acting it out, and you start wondering to yourself, like, how could it possibly have gone from this to this? And, you know, the answer would be over time and through other people's feedback, which definitely helps a lot. And that's actually how I got the idea to get rid of the spatula hands and have the poses be a bit more, have more of a variety to them and everything than what I was doing. Through a friend of mine who was actually a mentor of mine when I was at AM. I'm still in touch with right now, and he's still teaching. So that's an example right there. So now I think we're probably going to fast forward to the next version. And here it is. And if you don't mind listening to the audio clip one more time, I think I'll play it for this one too. So just like sort of a friendly reminder of what he's saying. And here it goes.
This afternoon I will have the singing tuna fish casserole, no pickle on the plate, well done Frenchy fries on their own plate. This afternoon I will have the singing tuna fish casserole, no pickle on the plate, well done Frenchy fries on their own plate.
There we go. That's right, I got you. I thought you were only listening to it once. You listened to it twice. So now I'll get rid of that for right now. So you'll probably notice how I added some more hand gestures as well as some additional full body poses that weren't necessarily there during my video reference. Like, for example, when he, before, he would have just gone directly from this to pointing, but now it goes from this to looking over and then pointing. And of course, as you notice very, very clearly, I added a wave that wasn't there. I just thought it, once again, just looked more exciting and had just more of a variety of poses. And I think also made him a little bit more anxious, you know. He's like very excited, but also trying to be civil, you know. Like, yes, hello, yeah, I'm over here, but I mean, no pressure, but I'm really hungry and I really want this, and especially this and this and this. So it also adds a lot more, like I said, like I was saying before, it adds more onto the variety of poses, as well as the anticipation, as well as the storytelling, and also the overall character, you know, his personality, what kind of character he is. And it really has helped quite a bit, you know, all over the years, because I remember the dialogue shots I did when I took AM, and of course I look back on those and I'm thinking, well, you know, just try not to be too shameful, because that's where you start. But over time, you get feedback, you develop, and you just learn a lot, you know, just from experience. And, you know, right after graduating, I would actually sometimes even ask myself, what's so special about experience? But after being in the business for a while, I can answer, quite honestly, a lot. Experience teaches you a whole lot, and that's really one of the tricks to always be a student. And once again, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm still learning now, and you just never want to get to a point where you're thinking this is as good as it gets, this is the best work I can ever do, there's nothing going beyond this, nothing better. You don't want to do that. But bottom line, as I always say, is have fun with it, you know, because it's definitely challenging. It's fun work, but it's still work, but still it's something you're passionate about. And you'll also notice how with the additional poses came additional, like I said, full body moves and everything, like moving the back section of him like I did over here when he's pointing. Because before he would have been like right around up here. But of course, he figures you point, that means you have more room, that you step back and everything. That's what I did whenever I did it in the mirror. And of course, you also want the framing to match everything. And what I mean by that mainly is his finger right up here above the menu, because before it would have gone completely out of frame. So basically, that's the main thing about the hand poses, you know, because for everyone out there who does lots of hand poses when they're talking like I do, you know, don't be ashamed, because it might even help you someday with your career, or with your education in this case. And once again, you know, it's really quite an experience watching your shot come to life like that. And it also helps you with your acting as well, because obviously to do this you have to be an actor. And because something else I didn't do that I might even recommend with this is don't just shoot one take of video reference. You might shoot your first one, and then if something else comes to mind based on your first one, just shoot a second one, and you might even splice the two of them together. Maybe use a little bit from this one and a little bit more from that one. And I think that's about all I have to cover right now. This is, once again, just scratching the surface, but you really you get a lot more from taking the actual course. So, but I hope you, as always, I hope you learned a few things, and thank you for watching, and keep on animating, and keep on posing as well. Keep on posing, but not twinning, like that. Talk to you later. Bye.